Hello, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video, I actually want to talk to you about creating something new before you even know if it works. So this is all based on my experience. I went to the Kennedy Space Center this weekend with my kids, and it was one of the most remarkable things that I've done in a long time. So actually, this is one thing that I've always wanted to do ever since I was a little boy, to go see these rockets and to see all of the things that people are working on recently in terms of going into space. It was a lifelong journey, or a lifelong sort of wish, bucket list thing that I wanted to do. And I wanted to wait recently, since we moved to Florida, I wanted to wait until my kids were old enough to appreciate it. And it was one of the most remarkable things that I have done. It really did resonate with me. So one of the things that truly did resonate with me was the fact that they were doing everything that was new. And it's not necessarily that they were doing things that were new whenever they were thinking about building these rockets. You know, back in the 50s and 60s, when they started to send people into space, it was the fact that when they were creating something new, and I'm talking about creating anything that's particularly new, right? So whether it's a new product, a new service, or, you know, a new idea, creating anything that's new, is whenever somebody tries something like this, and especially the people that were inventing these rocket ships and inventing all of this equipment, they're creating something that is new, that nobody else even knows if it actually works. It is one of the most interesting, sort of brave things that you can think about, right? So when they're building this thing, when they were building these rocket ships, you know, they had no idea even if it was possible to go into space. So the Russians just did it, you know, just before they sent somebody into space, and when they did that, then that sort of proved the point that you can actually send somebody into space. But then everything else along the way is completely new and completely foreign. They don't even know if it's actually possible. So even though that they're thinking about going to Mars at this moment and sending, I think they call it the STS, is sending that particular ship to Mars, and they're working on that. There's going to be, by the way, it's 2018, and they're going to they have a new rocket that they're going to send up at the end of 2018, which is really cool and exciting. NASA has their own rocket that they're sending up, which is supposed to take us to Mars. And the thing is, they don't even know if that actually works, even if that's possible. So they kind of test along the way that when they're exploring, when they're doing this sort of exploration activity, they're going into doing small tests along the way. So initially they want to send it, you know, just send it up, see if this rocket's going to go into space. And then they want to send it to the moon. And then after that, once they start doing some, you know, more trips, they're going to send it a little bit further, right? So they have no idea even if any of this is going to work, right? It's going to be their most powerful rocket. It's going to be the biggest endeavor that they've ever done. And, you know, what's remarkable, even though that they're doing this thing that nobody can actually even fathom that's possible, most people, and a vast majority of the people, even at the time, right, even in the 1960s, when they're sending people into, or they're thinking of sending people into space, into the, you know, to go onto the moon, people scoffed at it repeatedly, and they thought it was a crazy idea. And then on top of it, what is even remarkable is that people scoffed on how much people actually spend, or how much we actually spend on that particular program. They still do, right? There's still this debate. And you can make all these economic arguments, right? So there's knowledge spillovers that you get, which are all the benefits that you get from advancements of knowledge. There's also economic spillovers that you can get, which is all of the sort of new products. Tang, for example, wonderful drink that I grew up drinking. You know, that orange sort of powdery stuff. You know, that was invented for the space program. There's a lot of products that were invented along the way to help advance or get people into space, right? In order to do these sort of complex things, you have to create all these new solutions to all these problems that they have, right? So Tang, it's you don't have to put water in it. It's pretty light. It's pretty cheap. it's a pretty remarkable product, right? So you can create all of these different knowledge spillovers and stuff like that, but that's really not the benefit of actually sending somebody into space. It's not the benefit of sending somebody onto the moon. It's not the benefit of sending somebody into Mars or onto Mars. The real benefit that is gained from doing any of these particular crazy ideas, right? The big reason why you should actually do these particular crazy ideas is to simply say that you did that. That is the most important thing. And you know what that does, it actually inspires other people to do crazy things, to do unusual things, right? I would not have done this whole reciprocity project, which is to me completely unusual. It is economically not viable at all at this moment, right? Like there's no benefit to this. Let's just say that there's no benefit to this in any sort of way, other than the fact that I think that this is a wonderful idea that if we can create a platform where people can share ideas and to help other people out and to benefit other people, you know, I'm all for it, but I would not have done anything like that if I did not see people that were working on these so complicated programs and complicated equipment to send somebody into space. There was no way. I grew up in the era where people actually did do that, and I grew up in the era when people were going onto the space shuttle, and they were sending people into space on the space shuttle, right? And that was a routine thing. There was no way that I'd even believe that this was possible without doing something like that. So it has nothing to do with the economic or knowledge spillovers that you get. It's the fact that it motivates other people to do other remarkable things, that just to simply say, yeah, I did that. That is a really cool thing. And when I was there, I just could not stop from thinking about Steve Jobs' his famous quote now, right? It's from their marketing campaign, the Apple marketing campaign that brought Apple back into the playing field in the late 1990s. And that resonated when I saw that video. It resonated with me. You know, the one by Stephen Dreyfus, and the word goes, and I just it was going on in my head when I was there repeatedly. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify them, or vilify them, but the only thing that you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while you may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do, right? So it's a remarkable thing to even. I just think that my trip to the Discovery, to the Kennedy Space Station, or the Kennedy Space Center, was one of the most remarkable things that I've done, and it really truly resonated with me that we should keep pushing forward with these remarkable kind of strange things that other people think are unusual, and nobody thinks that there's any particular value in it at the time. If you don't do those kind of things, then nothing ever gets done, right? We have to keep pushing forward with the things that are unusual, that are different, and that will eventually change the world. All right, so that's all I wanted to say. And hopefully you like this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. And as well, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, bye.